gonna do, or Devon is gonna talk about a pre-workout. We said pre-workout, post-workout nutrition. We do think the pre-workout's gonna take your full 30 minutes. We'll give you a little bit of post-workout, but we'll talk about post-workout next time. That way you can get the most out of this. We are also recording the talk so that we can share it if you have questions, or if you missed it or you have to leave early. And then if you have questions, let us know as well. All right,
cool.
So go ahead.
Alrighty guys, so it was requested to learn a little bit more about pre-workout nutrition, which I think is huge because one Instagram post can say do fasted cardio while the next day have a full 5-course meal. So it really does depend on what you're reading, how you're reading it, and who wrote what you're reading. So we are able to take questions if you want to, and of course if you have any questions after the fact, we can always answer them individually if we need to.
You can text me if you have questions during this too, if that's easier. Some of you that...
Cool. So there's 3 major objectives we need to consider when you're talking about pre-workout nutrition. Most of these do transcribe right into post-workout as well, but for what we're talking about in the current moment, it all depends on how much time you've allotted before your exercise, how your body breaks down the food for the energy that you need, and as well as the exercise or the type of exercise that's being done after the meal or snack that you're going to have. So timing is a big deal. Why this is important is because different types of foods break down at different rates. You want to make sure that you consider how much time you have before the workout. If you're a AM exerciser, you want to either give yourself enough time, so set that alarm a little earlier to have a well-balanced meal beforehand, or understand what you can still bring in if you do not have the time. You want to make sure that the performance of exercise will be based on what you eat. So if you are used to doing fasted exercise, you come right to your 5 a.m. spin class, right out of bed, you want to enjoy that last 15 minutes of sleep before the alarm. So you want to consider what's going to happen to your body. If you are going through a spin class that's 45 minutes long, and 20 minutes in, you started feeling a little dizzy, a little lightheaded, maybe a little nauseous, you aren't the type of person that can go through a cardio session or exercise fasted. So unfortunately, a lot of exercise as well as nutrition is trial and error, but you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time. So back to that timing, it's anywhere between 1 and 4 hours before exercise is ideal. Anything less than an hour might disturb your performance on your exercise because your digestive system is working the same rate that your muscles or your heart or whatever you're doing that time is working. You don't want to have any kind of heavy fats or fiber. Those take a little longer to digest as well as work with your GI system. Carbs are the fastest. So carbs release into the stomach fastest. Your stomach releases carbs into the GI system fastest, so it's available for energy right away. So it's a lot easier to kind of use that as a rule of thumb when you're trying to choose what to have in regards to timing, because it is the quickest. And if that is something where you want to enjoy the extra time, or you got caught up in work or school or whatnot and you didn't have enough time to eat something before you're going to work out, always think about adding collagen to your coffee or having a BCAA with water. Sometimes just half a banana helps. So a BCAA is a supplement you can purchase. It's a powder. I just typically add it to water. Depending on the flavor, you can add it to whatever you want. So it's a branched chain amino acid. So it is.
Speaking of hungry.
What it does is it maintains your blood sugar levels as well as synthesizes your muscles while you're breaking down calories during exercise. So you can get a tub of it at a GNC or whatever you may buy your supplements at, and you just add it to water about 45 minutes ahead of time so you can have that before or during. Collagen in your coffee. So collagen is a type of protein. Both Allison and I do that, especially because we both work out in the morning and my stomach's just not ready for food, or the same thing with timing. I don't usually have it. So I'll throw about a scoop into my coffee. I choose like a vanilla, so it just tastes like a French vanilla coffee, and it replaces the sweetness or sweetener that you normally would do, but it provides you enough, a little bit of carb as well as protein sustained through, I guess I would say 45 minutes to an hour, and I feel pretty good. Anything you want to add on timing?
Well, just most of you work out with me, so I'll say that if I'm a 7:15 a.m. spin class, I don't eat before that. I do the collagen in my coffee, and that helps me, and I'm fine. I'll eat as soon as I'm done with the spin class. If I'm coming in at the 9:30, I will eat prior to that class, especially if I'm doubling up. You don't want to be doubling up a spin and a strength and not eating something prior, because you are burning muscle to get you through those two classes. You might be getting used to doing it, but if you start seeing that you aren't hitting the results that you want to hit, or you feel like you have plateaued, or you feel like you're going backwards, all of those are signs that you're not fueling your body the right way.
Yeah. So kind of going right back into our 3 major objectives we mentioned in the beginning. Timing we just covered. The long and short of it all, you have about 1 to 4 hours to be able to bring in a significant and beneficial amount of calories for a workout, anything 45 minutes or longer. If you do not have that time frame, so you're that morning worker outer, that's a word, you want to aim for something with either a little bit of calories or understand how your body reacts to a fasted state if you go into exercise. If you're an evening exerciser, you have the ability to work within that 1 to 4 hour time frame, but again, carbs do typically work with the GI system a little bit better because of the timing is pretty quick and rapid, so you have that available for you as soon as you go into the exercise. The next objective is how your body breaks down food. It's super detrimental when choosing what to eat before you work out. Protein and carbs are going to be your friends. Fat takes a while, so keep that in mind. While fat, there's plenty of healthy fats, the avocados and any kind of nut butters, things like that. It takes a long time for your body to digest that, so you're not going to either use it in the exercise, or it could disturb your GI system during the workout, causing cramping or anything else that could kind of not feel comfortable. If you do have fats, so if you're that person that loves peanut butter on their toast or the avocado types of people, you want to try to keep it to 10 grams or less before exercise. Again, this is just something that does slow the process down in your GI tract, so it actually prevents your body to use the energy that you brought in. Protein, quote unquote, primes your pump. So it's not just a post-workout need, but protein is just as beneficial before you work out. It provides the muscle to break down during the exercise and then rebuild and stabilize as you're working out. It also keeps your blood sugar at a nice rate, so you're not going too high in that spike or dropping too low, which you all know what that feels like. And it also prevents energy crashes during the workout as well as directly afterwards. Carbs are your true heroes, so if you haven't known that, it is important to understand that carbs are super necessary when working out. If you're an avid exerciser, something you should definitely work within your diet. You want to stick with starchy vegetables or a whole grain that provides long-lasting energy, opposed to something a little bit more simpler, like a banana burns really quickly, a apple will burn very quickly, but if you have like a half a sweet potato or oatmeal or something like that, that's going to sustain you a little longer. Be aware of dried fruits and anything that has high fiber, because that will also disturb your GI system and will definitely cause discomfort. Again, fiber is meant to take everything in your stomach and kind of glue it together so it passes as a solid, and that's something that will definitely be painful if you have that too close to exercise. Anything you want to talk on breaking down types of foods?
No, I was just gonna give you examples. Like for me, because I this morning didn't get up till 7:30 and then we're working out at 9, I ate one of these. Like this isn't what I would say, this isn't full enough for a breakfast, but it gives you, like, now I'm starving, so it gave me the energy I needed. I burned this during the workout. I didn't transfer over to burning muscle. I stayed burning fat and calories in the food that I ate. Or sometimes I'll do, a lot of times if it was a 9:30 class, I would actually do a bowl of oatmeal. So carbs are good for you. It's just the types of carbs you pick. I'm not saying eat a bowl of Cheerios or cornflakes. Eat stuff that's not processed, it's natural, and your body will use it the way it's supposed to use it.
Especially back to that cereal, that goes into the whole fat conversation as well. You want to make sure what you're choosing to have with that cereal is either a skim or a almond or oat style milk, because again, that will disturb your GI system while you're working out. Yeah, carbs aren't a bad thing. Cutting them out can actually be more detrimental to your exercise than help it. So going into the last objective is the type and length of exercise. And this is everything from your strength classes and your resistance training to spin and running. So you want to make sure you're understanding what your activity is and what foods are best to complement that activity. If you're choosing to exercise fasted, the exercise should only last 45 minutes. That's something that's very important because your blood sugar levels are going to start dropping, and that's when you are actually retracting from the progression you're hoping to see during exercise or in your exercise journey. If you're looking to exceed 60 minutes, that's typically not when you fast beforehand. This is specifically for our strength and spin people, or spin and strength, whatever combination you take it. Carbs are needed. Ideally, you want to stick to about 50 to 100 grams prior to or during. So if you're with the person that does like the BCAA, like I mentioned earlier, that has about 10 grams of carbs you can drink during your exercise or in between the two classes. We can also bring in the Gatorade conversation or some kind of electrolyte supplement as well. If you're looking into a strength class or a spin class with a lot of hills where you're going to significantly break down muscle mass to rebuild, I would definitely recommend that protein prior to and pair it with the carb. And that could be something as simple as a protein shake with a fruit or oats in it. And that'll help you have the long sustaining carb for the class itself or the resistance training, and then it also has a protein to kind of keep those, like I said earlier, the blood sugar levels stabilized, as well as preventing a crash during or in between the two classes that you choose to take. Anything about type and length?
I don't think so.
If you're an avid runner or you're training for something, or an avid cyclist outside, I would definitely bring something with you. So anything over a 60, I would say 90-minute course of action. So whether that's a 90-minute run or a 90-minute ride, I would definitely look into doing a type of electrolyte, a potassium, and a carbohydrate that will replenish while you're working out. When I was training for a marathon, I liked the Cliff Bar Goose. They had I think 10 milligrams of sodium, and then it had about 40 grams of carbs in it. So it kept me going. I did that every 60 minutes. But same thing for those who like to do the back-to-back. The Lara bars are really good because it's quick, and the food is whole grain. So what's going into your system happens quickly, and it gets digested and put back into the system fast. Typically everybody asks about caffeine and how to handle that. So it's always a hot topic. I'm a big fan of caffeine, but it's something that I also adapted my body to. Keep in mind that caffeine is a stimulant, it is a diuretic, so two things you can't just spring onto your body and hope it adapts. The one thing, it is a definite trial and error, which in most things with nutrition are, but I wouldn't suggest having a pre-workout supplement with 100 grams of caffeine for the first time before a spin class. One, that's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the instructor, because that's something that we could get worried about. You're not able to maintain or control your heart rate correctly, and it could also lead to spikes in your blood sugar. Spikes in your blood sugar just follow but big long dips in your blood sugar, which make you nauseous, lightheaded, and so on and so forth. I always tell everybody to try it out by having half a scoop and a lot of water, and then gradually add when you feel like your body's kind of getting used to what you've already provided it. And then just make sure that you have your caffeine under control and it is supplemented with the right amount of water as well. Anything on that one?
Mm-mm.
And I would say, unless we got any questions, what I think is important to understand is you have to listen to your body. There is no prescription, there's no set in stone style meal plan or diet that works for everyone. So understanding exactly what it feels like to work out on oatmeal versus eggs before a workout, and that's the only way you're truly going to learn what it's like. Eating before a workout never made anybody fat. I can promise you that. And I could also promise you that skipping a pre-workout meal never got you super skinny or shredded or whatever you're looking to do. Neither one is going to get you 100%, but as long as you give your body what it needs to fulfill what you're trying to accomplish, you're more likely to get to where you need. Anything you want to add on pre?
I will say that I have done intermittent fasting. I actually feel really good on it, but I cannot do it and won't do it if I'm lifting a lot. So with all the lifting I've been doing now, I don't do it. I do think that when I was trying it before, I did it when I broke my elbows. So I never could lift. All I could do was cardio, and I felt good, but I wasn't burning the amount of calories and breaking my muscle mass down like you would when you're lifting. So for me, it was fine. When I started lifting back in, I had to go back and change everything again. I had to change and start eating something before workouts and something after workouts. But I did have when I intermittent fasted, my first meal was around 11:30, 11, and it was a big, like a salad, or it was leftovers from the night before. So it was a lot of vegetables, a lot of lean protein, healthy fats. When you intermittent fast, you have to make sure that your meals are full of vegetables and protein. You can't go right to a restaurant, order a burger and french fries, because you're not helping yourself with that.
Yeah, it's not whatever you want to eat inside your window. It's
no.
still proper eating.
When you train your body, or when I was doing that, I actually craved those foods. I didn't crave junk food. But when you start lifting, or if you are someone that does a lot of lifting, your muscle breaks down. Like maybe talk about that, how your muscle breaks down and it has to repair. And if you
Right, so that kind of brings us right into post. So if you are lifting, even if you don't lift and you do a lot of spinning, you're still breaking down significant amount of muscle during that time. You have a specific anabolic window directly afterwards. What the biggest, I guess, point is everyone knows to have protein in their diets directly after. I would say you have a 45-minute to 3-hour window. So I think people put too much stress on directly replenishing when in reality life happens. So whether you have to drive home and get a shower, get the kids ready for school, or drive home, make dinner, do homework, and you might not get to whatever you needed to get to right away. Don't stress too much, but make sure you are putting in what your body needs directly after the exercise. It is false to believe you can eat whatever you want after the exercise that took place. You still need to have correct nutrition and repairing that muscle that broke down. So to kind of bring it back down to basic terms, when you're exercising, you're pulling the muscle apart. That's what you're doing. You're shredding away the actual muscle fibers. They're breaking down. What you need at this point is you need to have the correct nutrition to come in and build it back up. For protein to do that, you need a carb to deliver the protein. So think of the carb as the car driving the protein to the muscle. If the protein does not have a carb paired with it, the protein will not know where to go and when to go, because the protein follows the glycogen breakdown. So glycogen breakdown is just low blood sugar. It's exactly what it is. It sounds like what it is. So you need the sugar, so the carb, to drive the protein to where it's breaking down. Why that's important to understand is because people have recently been super against taking in carbs, but they realize that the progress and the results they're looking to do post-exercise will not happen unless you had the car to drive the protein to that muscle. Now, that doesn't mean have a pizza. That doesn't mean down a plate of pasta. That means having a sweet potato with a lean protein, a lean meat, or having some kind of whole grain. Oatmeal is great right afterwards, things like that. Even something as simple as a protein shake and you add a fruit or oats to it, you're getting that driver included with the protein. Why that's important to know that there is still a window is that window is going to be your prime time to replenish. However, it does take about 24 hours for your muscles to completely recover. That's why you feel sore the next day. That means you still have to maintain proper nutrition all through that 24 hours to make sure that every muscle that you broke down is being replenished correctly and at the correct rate. Why that's important is there shouldn't be too much stress on you to make sure that you get that protein in within the first 20 minutes or whatnot, but you do have some time, and that you just can't put anything into your body because you don't want to waste what you did in the gym. Anything you want to add on post?
I will tell people, because I usually don't always have time to go home and eat right away, or especially on a Saturday. If I teach, in a normal situation, I'd be teaching and running to lacrosse fields. So I will bring the bars with me. I will make a shake.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have something because you don't want to end up at home at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or at a field. I'll just use my life as for example, at the lacrosse field, and you see the french fries and the chicken nuggets, and anyone that's at the cross field with me knows that I will be the first one to snack on my kids' french fries because I'm then starving. So plan ahead. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you plan and you have like, I don't like pushing like a lot of processed foods or protein shakes and protein bars, but
real food first.
It does help you when you're in a situation where you can't make a real food.
Mm-hmm.
So hard-boiled eggs, like Rubber has a ton of stuff that you can snack on. They've got the hard-boiled eggs, they've got the already made chicken salad in the little container, they've got the energy balls. Like some of you that aren't used to eating before you come in and work out, maybe to get your body used to it, maybe those little energy balls are a good thing to start with. Maybe like the Lara bar for me only has 3 ingredients, so I'll start with that. I have a bad stomach, so for me, I can't just try something new right before I come in and work out, and I have to be okay so that when I get done working out, my stomach's not a mess the rest of the day. And that too goes into, if you don't eat something and you're starving yourself, you're gonna have stomach issues. Your body needs something to digest, and maybe now it's going after muscle and you're not gonna feel good.
Correct. And that's exactly what happens. And if you wait, so if you do go to the lacrosse fields or you run your errands before you go home, which is very common, you'll get into a state of almost starvation where anything's going to satisfy you. So that's when you eat from your kids, or you swing by a drive-through or something along those lines, and you lose the control of care in your brain, and that's where you kind of regress rather than progress in your whatever your results are, and your exercise goals.
Chocolate milk's actually like a really good after workout fuel for your body.
Yeah, so when I used to work in athletics, our ideal, and we get this question all the time because more for performance, off season and things like that, so they can gain muscle in the off season, utilize it in the during season. And our quickest and most efficient answer was peanut butter and jelly and chocolate milk is the best post workout.
My kids, when they're done with football practice and stuff like that, or lacrosse practice, and I'm making them dinner, I will give them a glass of chocolate milk while I send them up to shower and get ready. And then that way when they come down for dinner, they've kind of calmed down a little bit, and now they're ready to eat dinner. Some of you feed your kids dinner before practice. I just can't do that. My kids, it doesn't digest for them, and Bo's thrown up. So like he'll eat what he can eat, usually a bar before practice, and then a glass of chocolate milk, and then dinner. So it works for us too. Like something before you work out, something simple. You can buy a chocolate milk, like the small ones, if you're running around. Yeah. And then eat a real meal when you get home.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just making sure you understand what works for you. And I know it sounds so vague and it's so general, but unfortunately, nutrition, especially with exercise, is so much trial and error, and it's understanding what works for you. I'm with Allison. I'm not a big supplement person. I think real food first, but again, that requires a lot of planning. But if you think about it, guys, if you're looking to have a certain kind of result by a time frame, or you have a timeline on what you want to achieve, you're going to have to plan this out. So you're going to have to plan out your pre-workout meal. You're going to have to plan out your post-workout meal. That you plan out your workouts, things like that. That's the only way this can work. There's always offset tweaks and things you can change along the way. However, you want to make sure that protein and carbs are your priority pre-workout. If you have the time, if you don't have the time, you just want to look for something a little bit fast burning, so like the collagen in your coffee, a BCAA powder. Post-workout, you do have a nice window, about 3 hours, so you want to make sure that you're definitely bringing in that protein, but understand that the carb is the driver, and that anything outside of that should always complement what you're trying to achieve. You want to make sure that you are eating to fuel your body and not the reverse. You don't want to eat and then try to make up for. I think my biggest pet peeve, and I saw this a lot when I worked in college athletics, was I need to work out, I ate too much last night. I need to work out, I drank too much last night. And why that's important to kind of erase from your brain is that if you constantly are trying to use exercise to erase a bad nutrition decision, you're never going to get to where you need to be. What would you add? Any questions?
I think so this doesn't overwhelm, I think the best thing to do now, and a lot of you that know me know that I will tell you, like, if you're in a bad funk, or if you've plateaued, or you've gained weight and you want to start trying to lose the weight, but you're still working out a lot, I always will go back to pull out a notebook or a piece of paper and start writing down what you're eating. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be planned out. It doesn't have to be everything we're saying. Just start writing it down and the time of day of what that you're eating and what you're eating, even if it's snacking on your kids' food. Like, I will always say, just be very honest. Like, oh, I walked into the kitchen and I had a handful of chips at 2:30, and then I actually ate lunch, or just whatever it is, write it down. If you are a grazer when you're eating or making dinner, write it all down, because the more aware of it you are, the more you'll start thinking about it, and then you'll start planning and making better decisions. Yeah. So, and like right now is a great time to start. We're, I think, like 20 some days to Memorial Day. In 20 some days, you can break a bad habit and start a new habit.
I agree with that. So
just like put a notebook in your purse, put a notebook on the kitchen counter, put a notebook in your car, and start writing it down.
Yeah, and if you're an app person, I use MyFitnessPal. I track a lot of my clients that way, so we do a lot of sharing. You can request people so you have a little bit of accountability as well. What's important is making sure you're honest with yourself. It's really easy to go in there and put down all the healthy things you had. Trust me, because you want to be, you're almost like proud of yourself. But then you didn't mention the 3 glasses of Prosecco, or the handful of Dino Nuggets from your kid's plate. But whatever
How
it is.
do you know in my future?
How do you know my life? But it's really easy to forget the things you're not proud of. But that's what makes a change. Cool.
If you have questions, let us know. If you want to start tracking your food and want to start emailing it to Devon or I, or you can email it to me, and her and I will look at it together and we can talk about it. We're here for you guys. So let us know what you have questions on or what you want to learn more of. I think our next one we could do. Did we cover all post?
Cover mostly post. We can even do like we can just all do a post if you want to, or anything they request.
We could talk about those like fad diets, like the keto diet.
Yeah, do keto or carb cycling. Everybody asks about carb cycling.
Yeah,
I know. Do that.
We can talk about all of that. So if you have more questions, let us know. I got a few text messages. I'll answer you more in a little bit. And then we are going to look at doing a foam roll one too. So we had some questions about foam rolling. That would be really big right now. I know I'm very sore. You're sore. Yeah. I've talked to a few of you that are very, very sore. That's normal. And honestly, some of that might be our nutrition too. Like, we might not be, I know I wasn't always eating before coming in and lifting. I have to be better about that, because we're burning so many calories and you have to fuel yourself for that. So
I don't drink enough water. That's why I'm sore all the time.
No, I definitely don't, being at home. So all of that comes into play. So we'll talk about that stuff too.
Yeah, cool.
All right, have a good Saturday, guys.
Enjoy, guys.